DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of INCRadio Florida. I'm one of your hosts this morning, Brother Robert Tapalas, coming to you from here in sunny Tampa, Florida. And of course, today is Saturday, November 9th. It's about 9:31 in the morning here on the East Coast of the United States. And we are very, very glad that you were able to join us again this morning because we've got a really, really interesting topic, which I think is going to resound with so many of our audience. We're going to be talking to first-time parents, close to be, well, everyone's, first-time parent at one point in their lives, right? But we've got folks who are brand new parents to a newborn, actually the return of one of our hosts, Sister Audrey. And then we've got parents to a lovely we're going to find a 3-4-year-old little girl who's just absolutely adorable. And then, of course, we've got grown-up children, parents of grown-up children. So we're going to be learning all about dispelling the myths of parenting, because one of the things that is really, really frightening, I think, for any first-time parent is what happens if I screw up. So we're going to be talking to parents of different aged children to learn about their experiences. We can learn what it was like to raise children during prehistoric times from me. And then we'll be touching on more of the new, more modern parenting skills as well. But before we do that, I want to go and toss it over and say hello to everyone, to Sister Joy, who's over there in Orlando, to give our international greetings and shout outs to our audience. Good morning, Sister Joy. How are you?
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of our viewers. Buenos dias. I think that's...
Oh, yes. That comes in so handy because, as you know, I just got off a cruise in Mexico.
Yes.
And I had to learn all of those greetings in order for me to be able to know where the bathroom was. So that was...
Can you share with what the greeting is?
Yeah, ¿Dónde está la baño? That was like the one thing that
you learned it right here on INCRadio Florida.
That's right. Yeah, we're more than just talking about parenting tips. We're teaching you language.
That's a parenting tip right there. You got to know.
Well, we want to say hello also to Sister Charisse, who's joining us up there in Pensacola. How are things up there in the Panhandle this morning, Sister Charisse?
Good morning, everyone. Sister Charisse here in Pensacola. Beautiful weather today. Very excited. It's not going to rain, which is what we're happy about. But yes, donde está la baño?
Is a very important thing to know when you are eating in Mexico. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to be talking about cruising actually in an upcoming episode and some lessons learned and tips and tricks about cruising here in the Caribbean and Florida. So that's going to be an interesting episode. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and actually jump to our topic today. And of course, as you could see here on our overlay, it says that the topic is lessons learned from first-time parents. And we've got a wonderful panel of parents. Of course, we're going to start by welcoming back Sister Audrey from I guess we can call it maternity leave that she's had, right? It's been a little bit, Sister Audrey.
Oh yeah. It's going a few weeks short of 3 months. So yes, maternity leave.
All right. Well, welcome back. We're excited to have you back and excited, of course, to hear and share stories about what's happened over the last 90 days. Baby is there with you, but I don't think we hear any whining yet, so we might get through the show without being able to, we're not going to get to see him, but hopefully we do. We've got also joining us on our panel today are first-time parents as well, but they have a little bit more experience under their belt because their young daughter is now actually going to school, right? So Sister Justine and Brother Shane, could you please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your little baby girl?
Hi, we're in sunny Tampa.
That's right.
Who insists she's no longer a baby? That's new. Don't call me a baby, because she's a big kid now. She's 3, and she is in preschool all day, which is a blessing.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, well, this is going to be really great because Sister Justine and Brother Shane are first-time parents as well, and I'm sure there's a lot of myths and a lot of stories that we're being told about how to raise kids that may not necessarily have aligned with what reality was when it was time to do it. So, Kuyatek, if you don't mind, Kuyatek, if you could put us in grid, so this way we can kind of have a round table discussion with our panel and with our first-time mom. And so, the first thing that I wanted to ask, I think, is going to be of Sister Audrey. So when you had the baby Jamie, that was back in August. What were some of the biggest fears that you and RJ had about going into this whole role as parents, first-time parents? Like, it's always in social media, in TV and movies, it's portrayed so differently. But, I'm sure that there's some real fears and apprehension that you guys had. What was probably your top fear that you had about going into parenthood?
Right. It was surviving labor. I think that was my first one. Just because it's like as a first time mom, you have and then now looking at it in hindsight, you have no comparison as to what the experience of labor is like. And you watch so many YouTube videos, you talk to so many moms and ask, what their experience is like, and every woman is different. And so you just, because like you can say like, well, it's gonna feel this way, but it could also feel this way. I'm realizing that's the common answer to parenthood. It could be this, but could also be this, and then the question never gets answered, and you just figure it out. So like delving into the unknown and not having like a tangible comparison to it, that was my biggest fear first. I would say for Brother RJ, it would be more. It was something further down the road, which was like, how do we manage our children in like giving advice or molding them to be the kind of people that we want them to be, which is just good, kind people. So that was something later on. And then lo and behold, sense of humor of life is, well, you got to survive this stage first.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So did he survive labor? RJ, did he survive labor? Did he make it okay?
He sure did. I had to kindly ask him to please hurry up and find me that throw-up bag, as he so calmly looked around the room and came way too late.
Oh goodness.
Oh yeah. Oh, that sounds about right. So
we could do a separate show just specific on that. Like
first time dads.
Yes.
Right.
What to do and not do in the labor room.
Yeah.
So
well, I take it back, because it was actually my mom, who is the NICU nurse, that was taking her time, looking for it, examining how beautiful the room is.
Yes.
Brother RJ was the one that was like with urgency looking and having no quick results.
Oh goodness.
well, survived. Well, so thank you for that. So I'm going to go to Sister Justine and Brother Shane. Different question. So you obviously, when you were married, how long was it after you guys got married that you had Maddie?
11 months.
11 months. Okay.
She was born 11 months after we were married.
So here's the question. Do you think that it's better as a newly married couple to have children right away, or to wait a little while? And this is no bearing on, what's happened, right? So it's not like, oh man, I wish we'd have waited.
The laugh. Did you see the laugh?
No, everybody smiled.
Like,
I had to put the caveat in there.
And they gave us the same advice.
Well, like Audrey said, it's different for everybody, right? And because I'm obviously older, right? We thought it might take a long time.
No,
so we started right away because we thought, hey, maybe it'll take a year or two, right? Nope. God was like, hey, you waited long enough. There you go.
God's plan. I love it.
Put it right in there.
Yeah.
Well, and
God's plan overrules.
The reason I say that is because we waited, 5 years before we had our first child, and part intentional, part not, probably because you're trying to figure out. You hear stories, again, typical myth, right? Typical myth is they say, no, you need to wait to have children because you're newly married. You learn how to live with each other. You have to learn how to, kind of be a married couple first before you introduce children into the mix, because that's also a process. And I don't know if that's always a true statement. It sounds like obviously both of you guys have done really well. And there is, speak of that little wonderful little girl, there she is.
She parked on her iPad and now wants some.
Yeah.
Hi to everyone.
Hey, Maddie.
She said no.
We're having none of this morning, Mom.
She's like, I'm feeling shy. So like, she's like, it's feeling really shy, Mom.
Oh, well, so let's talk a little bit about, because obviously Maddie is full. I see her all the time. So she's high energy. She's definitely high energy. Kids can have different levels of energy. But one thing that I think parents, first-time parents, always try to figure out and are worried about is sleep training. When you're talking about sleep training, let's talk about that, right? Because I think that's like the first thing as parents wonder is like, okay, how do I immediately put my child on a schedule so I will get a full 7 hours sleep every night? Right? I'm training I've actually heard first time parents say this, like, oh no, we're going to train our child. At 1 month, they're going to be sleeping for 6 hours.
Oh, that was Maddie.
By 3 or 4 months, she was sleeping through the
like
night.
9 hours.
But I was a childcare worker for 10 years, so I have a little institutional mentality sometimes, which maybe is not fair. But yeah, we never co-slept. We put her in a crib right at the foot of our bed, and by the time she was 3 or 4 months, she was sleeping through the night. And we did have some crying. We weren't cruel, but
yeah, like we would literally have a timer, and we're like a 3-minute timer. After the 3 minutes, then we would check on her. But after that, like literally at the 3-minute mark, she'd fall asleep.
She'd be out.
Yeah.
Now, so Audrey, what about with your experience with Jamie? So I know that when you first get home and you're trying to, kind of get them into a routine, right? That's the word you keep hearing, routine, right? True. Routine, rhythm, just however it is that you want to be able to train your child. But can you really train them? I mean, it sounds like, Justine and Shane were able to do that at some level, or is it like, what are some of the challenges in trying to do that with newborns, in fact?
Yeah. I mean, well, so with Jamie, we're also breastfeeding too. So for the first like 4 weeks, it was really tough. Like I would say day 2 and week 2, because that was our most, our most sleep deprived. And that was just because I was having to get up every 2 to 3 hours to feed, and round the clock. So it took some time. I mean, there really wasn't a point where because babies can't really tell what's night and day. They can just tell when they're hungry, when they're tired, or when they need a change out of a poopy diaper. So it wasn't until, and I've had like 2 apps that have been like my saving grace, just because one of them keeps track of his milestones, but also tells you like how he may be fussy in these first few weeks because he's learning a new trait. And then it kind of coincides with the other app that I'm using to keep track of diapers and feedings. It also kind of cues me, okay, he should be the sweet spot is at this time. Maybe after like 45 minutes, he's been awake. So that's when we kind of want to try to ease him down without like him crying and telling us he's tired. That sweet spot will kind of tell us to, okay, less stimulation, no more playtime, just have him be put in his bassinet. And then it's been working for the past 2 weeks. So not really like a bedtime, but just kind of conditioning him like, the lights are low, there's no other like sound going on, so it's time to go to sleep.
Right. There's no sensory stimulation that's going on because there's no background noise. You're putting them into sort of an environment that's conducive to wanting to close your eyes.
Yeah,
and that's awesome information.
Yeah, and he's pretty much conditioned that once he's in his bassinet, it means it's time to sleep. Because once we take him out, he can play in other spaces. But once he gets into that space, once he gets into his swaddle, it's that's a moment dedicated for this action.
Excellent.
You know what? I'm wondering, where was all that information when I was going
Well,
through?
when
I
when
had
when
books.
when when I was raising kids, there was no internet, so
There was none. We
there
didn't
was
have,
no app.
Wow, I know. This is
YouTube
amazing.
wasn't even coming out yet when I had my first. I had to read like thick encyclopedia books on how to be a
Yes.
first time parent. And you had to
Yes.
memorize and maybe tab certain instructions. Maybe go into the index and look up sleep scheduling, breastfeeding,
Yes.
like try to figure it out. Yeah, I didn't have any of that. So it was
Yeah. I
difficult.
mean, I had some information, but by the time it's so interesting to learn all this because by the time we read books, which was probably outdated by the time we were applying, all that information, we're like, why is it not working? I have no sleep. There's a
Do
new
you
process.
remember? You remember? I mean, the sole source of information for us back then, there was a book that was called "What to Expect
Yes.
When You're
When you're
Expecting," right?
expecting.
That was
Yes.
like the handbook for any first time parent.
Mhm.
And then as you look at the book and you realize how old it was and the references they were making, I was like, when was this written? So that I think that's what makes parenting so hard, is because there's this balance that has to exist between reading, trying to build a plan, and then it's like with a job. Like you could go to school, you can get your degree, you can learn all about what that job is, but until you actually go in there and you do the work, you get the experience, you make a few mistakes, that's when the real learning begins, right? And so, to Brother Shane, I'd say, because like you said, you worked in childcare for a while and you had some experience with other people's children. But then now,
which is much better.
which is much better, right? Because you hand them back to the parent. You're like, here you go.
Well, in that
Had a
case,
great day
no.
today.
But I handed them off to somebody else at the end of my shift. So yeah.
But when you're talking about like now trying to figure out, well, these are the things that I want to do when I, like, you go in with best intentions, right? That I want to be able to raise my child, do this. Was it mostly trying to stick to these are the guidelines that I want to use for raising Maddie, for being able to handle Maddie's feeding schedules and sleeping schedules and everything else? Or did you find that it was more of having to be very pliable and very agile in that approach, because it wasn't one size fits all?
It was have a routine, right? But don't be rigid about it. Have like this fantasy routine.
Yeah, you always hear me say that went differently in my mind.
Right. And so I had a routine that I had old routines they were institutional kind of routines, right? Like a nursing routine. And then we applied that to real life and it changed. And I had a ton of advice, right? I had a ton of advice from everybody. And somebody tried to give me that book. And I was like, oh no, don't even bring that old book. What to expect. I'm like,
Published in 1934.
But really, in the end, where we are now is about modeling, right? We're just trying to modeling. And you can't do it when they're 3 months. But in the end, it was like, don't break the child. Don't beat the child. Handing off was important. So if you get frustrated, we have this tag team, right, to hand off.
Until now, we still do that. Like, we're like, okay, my turn. And then it's like a brand new face. And then until now, like from her routine from 3 months to today is still her routine. Like, she's a morning person. Like, she wakes us up. Like,
yeah, I'm trying to teach her to crow like a rooster. We have roosters at the church, right? So we're like, we're trying to teach her that right now because she's 6,
or 7.
like
today
clockwork.
was 7. I was like, oh my gosh, or 6 o'clock. And I was like, don't you want to sleep some more? And she's like, no, the sun is out. I want to be up. And I'm like,
she's like pulling the curtains open in our room. Time to get up.
Oh, see, I'm that guy. I'm the one who, we're on vacation and my family's all sleeping in a hotel room, and then all of a sudden as soon as the sun peeks out, boom, the shades open and everybody else is going to have to get up with me. So I feel Maddie. I know. I'm right there with her. So Sister Audrey, with having a baby, you get, this is the interesting question. You have your, what do you call this? A baby shower, right? So you have the baby shower and everybody showers you with all of these gifts. And the gifts that you're getting are just all sorts of different things, like 3 strollers and 2 bassinets and a bouncy chair and, high chairs and stuff like this. When you get all of this stuff and you're trying to figure out, well, now I've got all of these tools for helping me to raise the child. Out of all the stuff so far that you've gotten, which one of those things, because I saw the list, which one of those things do you find that you've probably used the most out of all of the?
A good one. I want to hear.
Ooh, the most?
Yeah.
Definitely the stroller. that's one that we've been using the most, I would say, just because we've been needing to get up and about. But speaking of, he has kids.
Hello, Jamie.
He's making his INCRadio.
He hasn't even gotten out of his swaddle yet.
He's making an INCRadio Florida world premiere. There's baby Jamie.
He's wondering why his grandpa is coming out of a screen.
Yeah, hey, what's he doing there? Uh-oh. He doesn't look happy that I'm on the screen. I'm sorry, buddy. Well,
yeah, I would say that stroller for sure. We've been using the most because especially with performing at church, like our duties are still, they don't stop. They're still going. So we try. That's probably had the most hands on it, not just me and RJ, but our village has all had their hands on that stroller to look
to
at
try to get through there. Well, in the thing is that when they have so many of these tools, like I actually saw a bassinet, which I'll tell you right, I'm not going to give you the brand name, but I saw a bassinet that was $3,000. And it's got like remote control. It'll rock back and forth.
Does it summon?
It has I don't know if it had infrared lighting or it's just when you're looking at all of those tools and how technology is kind of overtaking the attempt to, what I feel personally is, replace good parenting, right? It's you can't use all of this technology to be able to do that. But when you look at all of these different gadgets to be able to do it, I still see parents reverting back to just their, what we call brick and mortar sort of traditional parenting is how they did it. Like Brother Shane, Sister Shaseen, like with you guys, with Maddie, what was it that you guys like? Did Maddie have any one device?
We're trying to regift some of that stuff to Audrey and RJ right now.
Yes.
When you literally hear them say "never been used,"
yeah. And we looked at that $3,000 bassinet.
You could actually rent it too.
You can rent it, and we didn't do that.
Let's try it out.
Well, that's interesting too. First-time parents, isn't that also an issue? Is that they grow so quickly that they'll outgrow a lot of these things? And do you find that you can overbuy or accumulate a lot of these things that they outgrow too quickly, and then now you have a whole room full of stuff like I have upstairs in my spare bedroom?
Yeah.
Tell them about Annalisa.
Oh yeah, like Sister Annalisa and Brother Ryan, they gave us stuff that we still had, a ton of stuff. They regifted a bunch of stuff to us, like the big what's the swaddle you wear where you carry the baby, the papoose.
Oh, the baby, like
I
the baby.
It's a carrier, right?
I wore that at work for like 3 months. I was on calls like this with the baby. I got pictures of me on the internet like that. That was useful. But most of the stuff we ended up buying on Facebook Marketplace. We didn't get that stuff in our shower.
Yeah.
Plus, we had a COVID.
Yeah, we were in COVID, so ours was different.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. You
Our
couldn't
shower
really.
was virtual. So and Amazon. So yeah, I mean, for us it was brick and mortar. The bottles. I didn't think we needed a bottle sterilizer, but we very much did.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The bottle warmer. We hadn't got those things used because I thought, we're not going to need that. We'll just use pots and boil stuff. And oh no, we used that stuff to death. It like fell apart. We had to throw it away after 2 years because it was just we used it to the end, and we paid like $8 for them right on Facebook.
That's a good return on your investment there.
I was going to say, so like, well, I want to throw this down because I definitely want to hear some feedback from Sister Joy, Sister Charisse too. Did you guys have like any gadgets that you felt were just too, like you accumulated so much, but then there was this one thing that you guys found that was like, man, this was such a good thing to have, or this was like the lifesaver for of all of the things that I got?
You know, one thing I thought I needed was like what's the warmer, the
Bottle warmer?
wipes. No, not the bottle warmer. Oh, I didn't have one of those.
Baby warmer.
Yeah, I didn't use it. Mine just kept drying out all my wipes. So I was just like, I'm wasting money on this. My thing that I got that I didn't think that I would love as much as I did, I was gifted, it was like a sheep, and then it played like the sounds inside the belly. Yeah.
Oh, like white noise.
The white noise. So like it had like a whales, it had like rain, what is it, the waves, and there was another one that it had, but
like the natural sounds of nature, and then the animal sounds.
Yeah, whale sounds. I don't think I've ever used that, but my kids actually that worked well because that was before anything else came out.
Any technology. Well, Jamie doesn't need that because Grandpa will do all the whale sounds. I can do monkeys and bears, and I can do things too.
But it did work because to this day, my kids sleep with rain sounds. Like, that's how they use white noise to this day. All of them, even me. I started using white noise, so it helps us.
Yeah, we did that with crickets we have Apple HomePod in like every room, right? So we did the same thing with crickets, and now we can't sleep without crickets. Actually, we had crickets outside the other day. She's like, Daddy, how are these outside? Like, oh yeah, this is a
real cricket.
Real things.
Those are real cricket sounds.
There's a cricket in the garage, and Maddie keeps yelling, Siri, stop. Siri, stop. There's a real cricket in the garage.
And it's still going. It's still going, right? Wait, here's we're gonna do a quick round robin. We only have fast as 30 minutes. It seems like when we have these topics, Sister Joy, that we actually burn through those 30 minutes so much faster.
Really you had like 10 questions. Come on, man. You could have.
Come on.
Right.
Rapid fire questions, okay? So here, rapid fire question number 1. Just answer one or the other. No explanations. Cloth diapers or disposable diapers? Quaz family.
Cloth. We also use cloth wipes.
Okay.
In a water spray bottle. So we didn't.
All right. Sister Audrey?
Disposable. I'm sorry for the shade.
Okay, gotta be. No, not ashamed. Okay, gotcha. All right. We're gonna go with how much with breastfeeding or bottle feeding, Sister Audrey?
Breastfeeding.
I think I already know the question there, right? Quaz family?
Hybrid.
We did both.
The hybrid?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Very good. More the spell theory. What about for my questions just went dark on my sheet here. Oh, okay. As far as like milestones for children, last question. Keeping to the milestones that you read versus just kind of trying to go with the flow. Sister Audrey.
A mix. So like expecting it but not rigid.
Okay. That's an important reason to answer the question.
Telling all of our parents to back off, the milestones are a myth. Just let it happen. That was kind of I got in trouble with that one.
Well, and I think that's an important point because, and I think the common theory here is you have to set the expectations because you have to have a goal, but you have to be flexible, right? So it's just like with anything, you need to know the roadmap, you need to know the direction you're going, but you also have to be prepared to take a detour when it's necessary. So, but remember, parenting is not a one-size-fits-all reality, right? So as parents, all of us, we've had to kind of make adjustments and kind of learn. Thank you so much, parents for joining us today on, again, what seems to be an only 15-minute show. But as we're wrapping up today here on INC Radio, we want to thank the Quaz family, including baby Maddie, not baby, grown-up Maddie, who's joined us today on our show. And of course, to Sister Audrey and Jamie, I can say baby Jamie, for joining us this morning. It's glad to have you back. And of course, to Sister Joy there in Orlando and to Sister Charisse up there in Pensacola. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned. INC Radio South Central States is coming up next. And join us next week on INC Radio Florida.
This is INC Radio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the